Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Alrighty then, welcome back to America's Battles of the American Civil War with y'all's Bang and Dang. And we are legitimately a month and a half Civil War time away from the end of this war. We probably got about 15 to 20 more battles. And then we're done with this war. Coming up today, Waynesboro, March 2nd, which is Jubal Early's last ever battle. His shit got destroyed.
Yep.
And then we'll move on to Natural Bridge in Florida. And then we'll end it with two Carolina campaigns, which is Wyse Fork and Monroe's Crossroads. Yeah, it's going to be a little short one because we got... Next episode is going to be 2A battles. Battle of Bentonville and Fort Stedman. You know? From here on out, the Confederates win 3 battles out of 4 or 5, about 25 battles. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. You guys already know the deal. Go check out our YouTube if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, at Bang Dang Network, where you can get this show. Plus, Outlaws and Gunslingers on our new Bang and Dang debate show. And if you're just listening on, you want to listen on Spotify, Apple, continue there. Give us a shout out to all your friends. Shout us out.
Right.
Give us a review. Share us with your friends. And answer that Spotify question. Coming up first, Battle of Waynesboro, March 2nd, 1865. In Augusta County, Virginia, during the war. Obviously, it was a complete victory for Brigadier General George Armstrong Custer. And like I said, the final battle for Confederate Lieutenant General Jubal Early, whose force was destroyed. February 27th, 1865, Major General Philip Sheridan rode with 2 cavalry divisions from Winchester up the Shenandoah Valley towards Staunton. He had orders to take his cavalry south to join Major General William T. Sherman's army in the Carolinas campaign. After crossing the North Fork of the Shenandoah River, February 28th, Brigadier General George Armstrong Custer's division, he encountered about 300 Confederate cavalrymen under Brigadier General Thomas Rosser, which was guarding the Middle River near the village of Mount Crawford. Got to take him out.
Well, Rosser, he set a long covered bridge on fire, hoping to delay the Federales. Custer, he ordered 2 of his regiments to swim across the river and strike Rosser's flank.
Swim across?
While additional regiments stormed that very bridge. Custer, he successfully drove off Rosser's meager force, extinguished the fire, and rode on to Staunton, where they were joined by the bulk of Sheridan's force the very next day.
Good for them.
Desiring to eliminate Early's small force as a threat to his rear, Sheridan turned east instead of proceeding to Sherman. He's like, you know what? We need to get rid of this Early guy. Got to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's when Custer's men set out towards Early's force at Waynesboro on March 2nd with orders to proceed to Waynesboro, ascertain something definite in regard to the position, movements, and strength of the enemy, and, if possible, to destroy the railroad bridge over the South River at that point. Well, heavy rain and sleet, which had been falling for several days, turned the road into a quagmire, giggity, and greatly impeded the speed of the march.
Oh.
At Fisherville, just 6 miles from Waynesboro, Custer's men drove off Confederate vedettes and continued their march.
Oh, look at that shit.
Upon arriving outside of Waynesboro, Custer found Early's army dug in behind a formidable line of earthworks.
Oh, here we go.
Take him out, though.
Well, Major General Philip Sheridan was the overall federal commander in the valley, but he did not arrive on the field until after the battle was concluded, as we see
It's all up to you, Georgie.
quite often. Brigadier General George Custer, commanding the 3rd Cavalry Division, he was the effective commander of the Union forces on that field
Sure
that day.
was. They're like, you know what? We're going to send you to the Indians soon.
Yeah. Under this very command were Colonel Alexander Cummings, McWhirter Pennington Jr.
Well, that's the guy's whole name.
That's his whole name? So Colonel Alexander Cummings McWhirter Pennington Jr. He commanded the 1st Brigade. Colonel William Wells, so such a lame name.
Right.
It's only 2. He commanded the 2nd Brigade. Colonel Henry Capehart commanded the 3rd Brigade. And at least one section of the 2nd U.S. Horse Artillery under Captain Woodruff. Custer's total strength, 25 hundo.
Well, meanwhile, on the old rebel side, Lieutenant General Jubal Early commanded the remnants of the Army of the Valley,
right.
but by this point reduced to a single division of infantry, 3 batteries of artillery, and a small unit of cavalry, with the rest being dispatched across the valley.
Damn.
The infantry division, commanded by Brigadier General Gabriel Wharton, was composed of 2 small infantry brigades commanded by Colonel Augustus Forsberg and Colonel Thomas Smith. Forsberg Brigade consisted of the 50th and 51st Virginia Infantry Regiments, plus the 30th Virginia Sharpshooters Battalion. Okay. Smith had the 36th and 60th Virginia Infantry Regiments, plus the 45th Virginia Infantry Battalion.
Oh, also an independent infantry command under Colonel William Harmon. It was composed of Virginia militia reservists. Colonel William Nelson commanded the Confederate artillery.
Willie Nelson.
Composed of Captain Thomas Kilpatrick's Amherst Artillery, Captain Joe Millich's Georgia Regular Battery,
John.
Captain Charles Sneed's Fluvanna Artillery, with Thomas Roser's and Lunsford Lomax's cavalry dispatched elsewhere in the valley.
Lunsford Lomax.
Right. Early had not more than one effective company of cavalry at the time of the battle. That sucks. This guy is just, man, why do you even try to bite? Estimates on the sides of the Confederates, it varies considerably. Nobody knows. Between 1 and 120.
Right. Early later claimed he had not more than 1,000 muskets and 6 pieces of artillery at the time of the battle.
Damn.
Various Union forces claimed capture of between 1,500 and 1,800 men, which is more men than Early claimed to have in his entire army.
Oh.
And they claimed between 11 and 14 pieces of artillery. Compromising historians have placed Early's effective strength between 1 and 2,000 or 1 and 1,200 men. 1,000 and 6 to 14 pieces of artillery. Okay, guys.
All right. So they had some men. Well, Jubal, he stationed his men atop a low ridge just west of Waynesboro. Earthworks shielded his entire front. On his extreme right, he positioned the 3 guns of Kirkpatrick's Amherst artillery. On his right center, he placed one of his infantry brigades. In the very middle, which is at the center, he posed his small cavalry force and another infantry force, which was probably Harmon's militia. To their very left, Early posted Millich's Georgia Regular Battery and Sneed's Fluvanna Artillery. On his left, Early posted his other infantry brigade. However, he left his left flank exposed, supposing that a dense woods would impede any Union thrust in that direction. Well, guess what? It wasn't that dense.
Well, compounding this error was that the Confederate position allowed for only 2 avenues of retreat over the South River. One was a railroad bridge, and a small footbridge provided the only crossing points over the rain-swollen river. Early later claimed that he planned to withdraw that night when darkness could conceal his retreat from enemy eyes. Furthermore, he claimed a number of stores and artillery had yet to be moved to safety. An artillery duel then began shortly after Custer's men arrived on the town's outskirts at about 2 p.m.
Oh, shit. Here we go. Custer, he sent Colonel William Wells' 2nd Brigade forward. He wanted to probe the enemy position, which was promptly discovered to be relatively strong. But shortly thereafter, Custer learned of the gap between the Confederate left flank and the South River.
Idiots.
Recognizing that a flanking maneuver could spare him major casualties, which would ensue from a head-on attack, Custer ordered Colonel Alexander Cummings McWhirter Pennington Jr. to take 3 regiments, which was the 1st Connecticut Cavalry, 2nd Ohio Cavalry, and the 3rd New Jersey Cavalry. The New Jerseyans knew how to ride horses. And he did that from his 1st Brigade to assail the old Confederate flank. He goes, you go through that woods, and you get them.
Yes, sir. After sending Lieutenant Colonel Edward W. Whittaker of his staff to personally direct the flanking maneuver, Custer ordered Wells to divert the enemy's attention away from Pennington's movement by launching a diversionary probe on the Confederate center. Colonel Henry Capehart's 3rd Brigade was held in reserve with 2 regiments Pennington did not take on his flanking maneuver. All right, we got some reserves just in case.
3:30 p.m., signal was given to attack. A section of Custer's horse artillery rode into action and engaged in the tension of the O-Rebs. Minutes later, Pennington Jr.'s flanking force, led by the 2nd Ohio, dismounted and armed with Spencer carbines. Oh, no.
They're cheating.
Right. They rushed out of the woods and rode up on the startled Confederates' left flank. Like, oh, shit.
What the hell?
Just as the Confederates were reforming to face this new threat, Wells and Capehart's brigade rushed the Confederate center.
Oh, shit.
In a matter of minutes, one historian stated that the Confederates fired a single volley. Early's army into panic. Oh, no.
Jedediah Hotchkiss, Early's topographical engineer, he was formerly Stonewall Jackson's, he called the rout one of the most terrible panics and stampedes I've ever seen.
Right.
The Confederates' only routes of escape over the South River, which were the 2 bridges, quickly became jam-packed with fleeing men and ordnance. Oh. Hundreds of Confederates were captured as they tried to flee across the river.
They did.
Damn, what a Jubal Early, dude. I mean, you got to always have a line of retreat.
Stupid. Confederate Colonel William Harmon murdered. Surrounded by 5 Federal troopers, Harmon refused their entreaties to surrender and was killed. I guess. Dr. Hunter McGuire of Early staff was captured after he was dismounted while attempting to jump his horse over a rail fence.
He couldn't hang on.
A federal trooper was preparing to gun McGuire down when the doctor gave the Masonic sign of distress, which was recognized by a Union officer who intervened on McGuire's behalf. And he ordered the doctor not to be harmed, though he was taken prisoner.
The old Masonic people stick together.
Early himself, along with some of his staff, they managed to escape, of course. His army was captured or scattered across the countryside, never again to form an effective fighting force.
Jeez.
Wow.
Custer's men then pursued the routed Confederates for a dozen miles before darkness brought an end to their pursuit. Union officers would claim the capture between 1,000 and 1,800 men, 11 to 14 cannon, 150 to 200 wagons, and 16 stands of colors, including a recaptured Union flag. Look at that shit. Despite Early's rebuking of the claims, evidence, which included 15 Medal of Honor citations for capture of flags at Waynesboro, that suggests that Union claims were very close to the truth. Regardless of the exact figures, all sources agree that Early lost all of his artillery, his wagons, and ambulances, and his infantry was too shattered to form an effective fighting force for the rest of the war. Custer then placed his own losses at about 9 men killed and wounded.
Wow. Early.
Fucked it up, bruh.
Well, Sheridan, he crossed the Blue Ridge Mountains to Charlottesville and then raided south.
Early's going to be forever fucking roaming the countryside looking for General Lee.
Right.
From here on out.
Oh, my goodness. Sheridan was to destroy the James River Canal near the Goochland Courthouse. He joined forces with the Army of the Potomac near Petersburg on the 26th of March.
There we go, baby.
For the opening of the Appomattox campaign. Early never received another field assignment ever again. Captain Christopher Bruton of the 22nd New York Cavalry later received the Medal of Honor for the capture of Early's headquarters flag.
Oh.
Second Lieutenant Andrew Cooter of the Company G, 8th New York Cavalry, also received the Medal of Honor for extraordinary heroism and the capture of a flag.
All right, cool. Well, look at that. Fucking bye-bye Early, huh? No more for you, guy.
It's over.
Just surrender, guys. Jeez,
Right.
battling out for nothing. It's going to bring us to the Battle of Natural Bridge, which was fought in what is now Woodville, Florida, near Tallahassee. That was fought March 6, 1865. Union's Brigadier General John Newton had undertaken a joint force expedition to engage and destroy Confederate troops that had attacked at Cedars Keys, Florida, and Fort Myers, and were allegedly encamped somewhere around St. Mark's. The Union Navy had trouble getting its ships up the St. Mark's River. The Union Army force, however, had advanced and, after finding one bridge destroyed, started before dawn on March 6 to attempt to cross the river at Natural Bridge. The Union troops initially pushed rebel forces back, but not away from the bridge.
All right. Sailors from the USS Hendrick Hudson also participated, and they too were awarded the Medal of Honor for their
Two
part.
of them were.
Sailors from the USS Hendrick Hudson, they also participated, and two were awarded the Medal of Honor for their part in this very battle. Seaman John Mack and Coxswain George Shutt, Confederate forces under Brigadier General William Miller. Protected by breastworks. You got breast, you got seaman, swaying on boat.
Man. Sorry, guys, but that's fucking funny. You ain't laughing, I don't care.
They were protected by breastworks, guarded all the approaches and the bridge itself. The action of the Natural Bridge lasted most of the day, but unable to take the bridge in 3 separate charges, the old Blue Coats troops retreated to the protection of the fleet. Right. They tried.
Now, based on the involvement of the students from the Florida Military and Collegiate Institute, the Florida State University Reserve Officer Training Corps, or the ROTC program, is one of only 4 Army ROTC programs to have a battle streamer for their actions in the Civil War. Oh, wow. Since it was originally part of the Army, FSU's Air Force ROTC unit also deploys the same battle streamer.
Fantastic.
While the raid was not aimed at Tallahassee, the defeat of the Union forces was regarded as keeping Tallahassee as the only Confederate state capital east of the Mississippi that was not captured during the war.
Wow.
Look at that.
Look at that. You would definitely thought that would have been.
Right.
Yeah, the site has been preserved in the Natural Bridge Battlefield State Historic Site. As of mid-2023, the American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved 110 acres. That's 45 hectares of the battlefield, and they're now part of the state park. A ceremony honoring the combatants on both sides of the Natural Bridge followed by a reenactment of the battle featuring Union, Confederate, and civilian reenactors, is held at the park the first weekend of March every year. The event is free and, of course, open to the public.
Alrighty. Cool. Seamen and coxswains. We're going to end it here with the next two battles, all of the Carolina campaigns. And our next two battles starting out next week will be the final two battles of the Carolinas campaign. So coming to an end before it all goes to Appomattox. We got the Battle of the Wyse Fork, also known as the Battle of Kinston. Was fought in the Carolinas campaign, like I said, at the end of February 1865. Port city of Wilmington had fallen to Union troops under the command of Major General John Schofield. Schofield was then to move his forces inland from the coast and join with Major General William Sherman's forces at Goldsboro, North Carolina.
So you got Schofield, Sheridan, and Sherman all joining together.
They're about to, and then they're going to go all up to fucking Petersburg.
Shit.
There, these three armies would move against the Confederate army being gathered under Confederate General Joseph E. Johnston.
Look at this guy.
He's about to, he retired. He surrenders after Lee.
I think so.
Johnston does.
I think so. Schofield, with the units from Alfred Terry's Expeditionary Corps, moved north from Wilmington, while Major General Jacob Cox took his 23rd Corps Division and sailed up the coast and landed at New Bern, which is in North Carolina.
Oh, New Bern.
At New Bern, the Union forces were increased to 3 divisions and formed into a provisional corps, with Cox in command. Moving towards Goldsboro, the Union forces repaired the railroad, which was to function as a supply route for Sherman's army. Johnston's army was too far away to move against Schofield's divided forces, but General Braxton Bragg's forces, falling back from Wilmington, were within striking distance. Old Bragg, he moved against Cox near Kinston.
March 7th, Federal advance units encountered Bragg's entrenched forces along Southwest Creek east of Kinston. Bragg's position not only blocked Cox's path, but threatened a vital crossroad and the New Bern-Goldsboro Railroad. Cox saw the importance of this position and moved forward the divisions of Brigadier General Ennis N. Palmer to protect the railroad and Major General Samuel Carter to protect the roads. Bragg's forces were also reinforced by veterans from the Army of Tennessee, not the, and the North Carolina Junior Reserves, all under the command of General D.H. Hill. What happened to A.P. Hill? Where's this guy? Is he at Petersburg? Maybe.
Has to be, right? Reinforced, Bragg went on the offensive and sent a division under North Carolina native Robert Hoke into the Union left flank. Hoke's attack would hit a New England brigade in Carter's division, capturing an entire regiment, which was the 15th Connecticut Volunteer Infantry. Hill, he joined the advance with the Junior Reserves, but they then panicked and refused to go any further.
We're only Junior Reserves, guys.
Right. Hill, he left them behind and moved on with his veterans, hitting the Union Brigade and defeating it.
Oh, wow.
Disaster threatened the old Bluecoats' flank when Bragg stopped Hill's advance and sent him far to the north to counterattack a Union threat. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, when Hill arrived, he found no Federals in sight.
Oh, shit.
At this time, Cox, who had been away from the front lines, returned and moved up his reserve division under Major General Thomas Ruger to plug the gap between Palmer and Carter. You think he's the inventor of the Ruger?
It might be.
Skirmishing continued for the next few days until Hoke tried again to turn the Federal left flank March 10th. The Federal position had been strongly fortified by artillery and repulsed Hoke's attack within an hour.
But it did.
Hill then moved against the Union center, but again, Federal artillery proved decisive, and the attackers were repulsed.
That damn artillery.
The remaining elements from the Federal 23rd Corps, which had just arrived in New Bern from Tennessee, they were moving on Kinston. Facing 5 Union divisions, Bragg said, "We gotta go."
I bet he did.
We gotta go.
Damn, Bragg. He had only momentarily been able to check Cox's advance. Schofield's forces reached 2 full corps and were organized into the Army of the Ohio.
Oh, shit. Building a whole new army right in front of your eyes. You were just destroying and building armies at the same time, guys.
Sherman's armies, which had just defeated Johnston's army at Bentonville.
We'll get there next week.
He joined with Schofield at Goldsboro on the 23rd of March. Facing 3 Union armies, Johnston retreated to the north, and on April 26, surrendered to Sherman.
The American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved more than 114 acres of the Wyse Fork battlefield. That battlefield was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in Lenoir County, North Carolina. It is now under threat by an North Carolina Department of Transportation project to create a bypass around Kinston. No, you idiots.
Oh, my.
It currently faces local opposition from lawmakers and the public. It fucking should.
Fuck you,
NCDOT.
Right. Well, the North Carolina Department of Transportation has proposed upgrading the existing 4-lane highway US 70 in the Kinston area to interstate standards as part of the I-42 project.
No.
The proposed project is known.
Don't they learn anything on Route 66?
Right. The proposed project is known as R-2553 in NCDOT statewide transportation improvement program. The current roadway designs include an interchange with a bridge and ramps at the intersection of Wyse Fork Road and US 70, along with associated service roads that would be built. This is currently a conventional intersection with stop signs.
The NCDOT is working with federal and state partners to minimize all environmental impacts, including to the historic battlefield.
Right.
Specifically, they are working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the NC State Historic Preservation Office by following the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966, Section 106 review process.
Fantastic.
For determining impacts of the battlefield and developing mitigation efforts.
All right.
Jeez.
Fuck yeah, man. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has created a project website that includes more details, such as the project's timeline, estimated cost, preliminary roadway design maps of the 21-mile section of US 70 that will be upgraded to interstate standards.
Yeah, no more U.S., it's all IS.
The website also features a frequently asked question page, section, and virtual room with video simulations showing how the upgraded highway would look and function after to be completed.
Okay, good for you guys.
Right.
All right, last battle of the day, Monroe's Crossroad. As we continue on these Carolinas campaign, it's also known as the Battle of Fayetteville Road, and colloquially in the North as Kilpatrick's Shirt Tail Skedaddle. Ooh, they're making Kilpatrick Skedaddle here, huh? That was in Cumberland County, North Carolina, which is now Hoke County, on the grounds of the present-day Fort Liberty Military Reservation. It involved about 4,500 men, and it was mounted Confederate cavalry against dismounted Union cavalry.
Oh.
And as well as one of the last all-cavalry battles of the Civil War.
Look at that shit. Get it done. Main Confederate assault was at dawn against a poorly guarded and sleeping Union camp. Command of the Confederate forces was...
It's like when Ace Ventura goes to the bat thing and the baboon sleeping.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really?
Right. Command of the Confederate forces were Lieutenant General Wade Hampton.
Wade Hampton.
Major General Joseph Wheeler.
Joey Wheeler.
They were operating together for the very first time.
Oh, well.
One of the goals...
And probably the last.
One of their goals, which was never to be fulfilled, was the capture of Kilpatrick himself, using a small elite squadron of hand-picked troopers.
Kilpatrick's supposed to be blue.
Kilpatrick, ensconced with his mistress in a small log cabin near the farmhouse of Charles Monroe.
What?
He managed to flee the chaotic scene in his nightshirt,
All right.
hiding for a period in a nearby swamp before regaining his composure and reorganizing his troops. Oh, this dude decided to get some pussy.
Dude was all fucking getting freaky deaky he was even in somebody else's house.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
Oh, you know that story was told during the war. That dude got divorced. While initially routed, the Federal cavalry soon recovered and counterattacked, eventually pressuring the Confederates to withdraw from the camp. Anticipating the approach of Union infantry, the Confederate commanders ordered their troops to disengage from the action in the mid-morning. Hampton's cavalry finally withdrew in good order towards Fayetteville. Confederate Brigadier General Thomas Harrison, Brigadier General William Y.C. Humes, Colonel and Brigade Commander James Hagan, and Colonel and Brigade Commander Moses Hannon were wounded during the battle.
Oh, shit.
Brigadier General William Allen and Colonel and Brigade Commander Henry Marshall Ashby were also injured when their horses were shot from under them.
Oh, son of a bitch. Damn. The Battle of Monroe's Crossroads gained the additional time needed for the Rebs infantry to conduct an organized crossing of the Cape Fear River at Fayetteville. They wanted to do that unmolested, and by advancing the Federals, they did. With their troops and equipment east of the Cape Fear, the Confederates burned the bridges as Union forces entered the city. The graves of several unidentified bluecoats can still be seen today in the training area of Fort Liberty, just a few miles south of the Normandy drop zone, near the Coleman impact area. All visits must be approved by range control.
Yes, sir, because it's in a freaking fort.
Yeah.
Air base stuff. Army base.
Army.
Yeah. That's going to do it for us in this week. And this, it gets more dire and dire every week for these old rebels, guys.
They're falling apart, and they're doing it fast. They're doing it fast.
What we got coming up next week is the Battle of Aberasboro, which is Carolina campaign, and then the Battle of Bentonville, which is going to wrap up the Carolina campaign. And then we'll probably even have the Battle of Fort Stedman in Virginia as well. 2A battles. We're going rest of the way, it's Virginia. And a couple in Alabama. Mm-hmm. All Virginia and Alabama. Finally, we're going to get some shit done around here. And then we, last battle of the war in Texas.
Oh.
So,
Makes
got a
sense.
couple of Georgias, too. South Carolinas. I mean, all right. All right. All right. Well, see you then. Remember, at Bang Dang Network for YouTube, get all of our podcasts in one place, or give us a review on...
Get off on our podcast.
Get off on our podcast with the Coxswains, baby.
Some breastwork.
Leave us a review. Share us with your friends. Apple, Spotify, answer the Spotify question. We'll see you next week. We are the month of Michigan as we...
Bang dang.